Hi guys, and girls, so here we go. Obviously, the golf betting has really taken off. It's been fantastic to see and hear some of the great stories of people who've enjoyed the last 2 years, but especially the last 4 weeks. We had Brooks Koepka at 20 to 1. Winning the PGA. We then went on to have Griot winning the Charles Schwab at 80s. The week after, we had Victor Hovland at 20 to 1, and then yesterday, thanks to that 72-foot putt and the points investment, we saw our biggest winner to date in Nick Taylor in Canada, which was fantastic for all of us. And yeah, I think to get two in a row is pretty awesome. Three in a row was unprecedented, and four is amazing. But let's be honest, there's an awful lot of luck involved. We've won 3 playoffs in 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 playoffs in the last 3 weeks. So the algorithm, the system, it's there and it's in place to basically to nick place money with the odd win. Hence why the each way thief came in. There's some real shithousery each way thieves out there that will stick things in at 7 to 2 each way, which can't be a system for anybody. But the system that I'm putting in place is hopefully just small stakes, enjoyable stakes, betting what you can afford, however many pounds per point. And on the bad weeks and the bad runs, and we had a bad 6 weeks earlier in the spring. You're not losing huge amounts of money, so that has to be the system. Except you're not going to get winners all the time. The intent is really to get three, maybe 2, 3, 4 a year, and with that we're going to see some good profits. But we're hitting the highs at the minute, so I'm going to do this video. A lot of people don't like reading, but then maybe people don't really want to look at my ugly mug for the next 5 minutes. So let's go on with this week's summary of the US Open. Obviously none of this is scripted, so I might prattle on a bit, but you'll get used to that style. We head this week to LA Country Club. I've done a lot of research on this place and watched some amazing pods with Gil Hans on the layout on the North Course. He's really stripped it back. I like what they did with Oak Hill. They stripped it back to its original design, designed in 1923 by George Thomas, and Hans was talking about how they were using excavators to scrape back turf to try and find original greens. They've moved them around that much. It basically leads to an awful lot of blind tee shots, some blind approaches, a lot of slopes, a lot of runoffs, some real dry Barranca around the course, thick Bermuda rough, which those of us that went to Florida last year and others who've been out that way will know that Bermuda is just, it's the devil's grass. I'm a reasonable golfer with a good short game, and I've really struggled out of that stuff. You've got to really commit. It is horrible, and this week it's going to be dropping to the roots. So you're either going to have a bare lie playing uphill onto a small green that's running away from you, or you're going to be hacking out some real deep Bermuda. And these targets may look big, but the landing areas that you've got are very, very small. So as much as there's a little bit of space off the tee, a couple of things: you've got to be quite long because you need to be going into these greens with short irons, mid irons at worst. But this week it's about ball striking. I say ball striking a lot, but this week it's not about tee to green. This week it is about strokes gained on approach. Traditionally, once upon a time, the likes of Spieth, Thomas, were right up there in that category. Now we're looking at Scheffler, whose strokes gained, tee to green, his ball striking is it's Tiger-esque. You know, Tiger was the greatest iron player that's ever lived. Whether he's the greatest golfer ever lived, that's another question. But he was the best golfer that ever lived, and his iron play at the minute is being matched by Scheffler, and I don't think anybody ever saw that coming. Fortunately for the rest of the field, as I've said before, I mean, Scheffler puts like he's got MS. It's absolutely appalling from 3 feet. But thank God, because if he was the complete package, I think he would just run away with everything. He is a phenomenal player, phenomenal talent, and a superb individual as well. So, we like Scotty, and I also like the fact that he's flawed and that his putting brings others into it. But yeah, the strokes gained approach is what we're going for this week. So like I've put in the blog, I'll kind of go back to the front. I've always had Russell Henley in mind for this. He's been the one first on the list, especially with all the top 20s he's been having recently. He's very streaky, he can miss a lot of cuts. He's a real confidence player, he's all or nothing. Really surprised me in the last few years just how poor a putter he can be for such a long period of time. But when he's hot, boy, he is hot. When he's hot, he's probably the best putter in the world, aligned with probably one of the 10 best players on approach. So he's got the real package. He's won, I think he's won 4 times on tour. Going off the top of my head there, but he's a great iron player. If he can get the ball in play off the tee, he is 100 to 1 this week, and there's a big investment there. Let's just have a little scroll down and see what I've put him in at. So yeah, 2 points each way this week. 100 to 1 Willie Mills. Willie Mills playing 10 places this week, so 2 points each way investment. He's run since March, as I've said in the blog. He's 53rd, 19th, 17th, 4th, 19th, 19th, miscut 16th and 16th. Very solid, and when he hits that form, he's a real sleeper player. Now, this is a top field. He's won big tournaments before. I'm trying to recall whether it was the Honda or Bay Hill. I think it was Bay Hill that he won a few years ago in a really stellar field, and he hit the front and he stayed there. Very much like Nick Taylor, he's not afraid to contend, and if he can get up there and in and around, he won't give the lead up. Someone will take it from him. So I like those odds. So he was my first pick. This one doesn't take a lot of talking about. We're putting Brooks up again. Now, he's 10 to 1 with Hills, 10 places. It's a 40-point investment this week, but I can't not have Brooks in there. He can't not place. It's the US Open. He's got his swagger back. He's got that gunslinging thing about him. Everything that went on in the Full Swing episode, where he looked like he completely lost his mojo, and he'd really just given up on golf and life. It was pathetic to see, and then he's just turned things around, and he's the old Brooks. He should be favourite for me. He doesn't have any weaknesses. He doesn't have the problem with a putter like Scotty has. They should definitely be sharing favouritism. 10 to 1's fair. 5th for the odds. You're getting 2 to 1 a place. So we're 10 points each week with 10 points this week with Hills. We're only going to get 30 points back if he places, but he's a live chance of winning. I just can't ignore him, and I don't like putting people up at 10s. It's the shortest I've ever put anyone up at, but he's just all class. So we go from all class to pure class, but this is a value pick. Next up, Justin Thomas. Another one, as I've said in the blog, he's put like Lou Gehrig for the last 12 months. He's got the same putter that I've got. It's an absolutely beautiful Scotty Cameron, and he just can't hit a cow's ass with a banjo with it. The flat sticks really let him down, and when that happens, and I'm nowhere near the level of these guys, just an average single figure golfer, but when your putting goes, it just puts a pressure on you trying to get the ball close. It puts pressure on you off the tee. It puts pressure on you on approach. It puts pressure on your chip in, because you've got to hit the ball so much closer to give yourself a chance. These are small greens, and JT is a tee to green master at his best. He's good at these events. He's not going to be chasing birdies. He's going to be playing within himself. He's the best wedge player in the game. One of the best wedge players I've ever seen. But he's 40 to 1 this week with Paddy Power. 35s in all other places. I never thought I'd see that. I never thought I'd see that for 10 years. He's been off the boil, but class is permanent. On a test like this, if he can be midfield putting 50th, 60th, he'll place. It's 40 to 1 is crazy odds, and he's a player also at 40 to 1 that can win. So we're 5 points each way with Paddy Power, 10 places there. The dishwasher's going off, or it's falling to sleep because I'm boring it to death. 2 more, we're going with Victor Perez. Victor, a quote from the blog, is a rarity, that he's a really cool individual, but he's French. So those two don't generally go together. He hasn't got a big nose, and he doesn't stink of cheese, I don't believe. So he's a rare Frenchman. Multiple winner on the DP World Tour, 6 times on that tour when the tour was stronger, not in its incumbency as it is now. It's pretty weak, but hopefully this merger that we won't go into right now will help that. He's trying to get a PGA Tour card. I'm not sure if he's got it yet, but he's working towards it. He's coming across upon some more of these events, and he was excellent at the PGA on a difficult layout. I mean, he was 12th there. He was in one of the last groups, and he's just finding his feet on a big stage. And I love his ball striking. He's beautiful tee to green, and he's an excellent putter. He's got everything, and I think he's just learning to keep himself in check a little bit. He's quite fiery. He's got that sort of Gallic flair about him, but if he can keep a lid on it, he's huge value this week. I mean, I've gone for the big odds. You can probably get 125, 150s, 10 places. I've chucked him up on the Bet365 each way extra at 200 to 1. And we're chucking 2 points each way on him, 8 places. 200 to 1 is huge. And again, we might get a run. We might get a run there, but this Seavery is about finding value and trying to nick a place, and I think Victor can do that. So lastly, we go on to a real enigma, a proper player, and one of the worst putters with Lucas Glover I've ever seen. I mean, kudos to the guy for winning on tour. He won the RSM this year. Kudos to him for making the playoffs for the last couple of years. To quote the blog, he's a premium rate Tesco finest ball striker with a Tesco value in the reduced past sell by date putter range. He's all or nothing. Now, if he can put inside the top 100, he'll be going into the last day in the top 20. He is a premium ball striker. He's a proper player, this lad. But if you're watching him on any of the featured groups and you're watching every shot, then be prepared for a little bit of a horror show. Maybe either get some popcorn if you enjoy some kind of stuff like that, or watch from behind the sofa, because his putting is something very special, and not in a good way. If he could put averagely, he'd be inside the world top 20 for me. He's inside the 50 now. Again, he's like I say, he's a winner this year on tour. He'll definitely be in the President's Cup. I think that'll be next year. but he's 500 to 1. He's worth chucking a point at. Again, we're going with 8 places with Sky Bet because we're getting an extra 100. We're getting an extra 100 odds on there rather than 400s, and that's the way that I like to chase the algorithm for the places. So, you know, one place will do us, but I think with Brooks being a lock on the places, I think you know, if we can either get him to win or we get one more place in there, then we're going to see a nice tidy profit. Looking forward to this week. It's a great setup. It's a real late start, so be prepared for a 2-3 o'clock finish. You know, the Yanks are really pleased because it's all prime time their end, but I think that looking at starts with Eastern time, it's going to be a real late one, and you're not going to see the leaders teeing off till sort of 10, 11 o'clock at night. So be prepared for that. But yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy watching these guys suffer, and hopefully we can enjoy some more profits. Thanks everybody for following. We'll see if these videos are better than the reads, but if I'm prattling on for 16 minutes and 15 seconds, if I can maybe try and keep these down to 5 or 6 minutes, we'll see which way goes, which is the best way to go, and whether these are worth doing. But yeah, enjoy, keep the faith, keep thieving, and only gamble with what you can afford, and always gamble responsibly. And if we do get winners, do not give the bookies that money back. All right, peace out.